I overlook my parents. It's 2 days after Christmas, and that means I've had my hair in a bun and I've been in PJs for 2 days. Um, but I felt really impressed to share something with you that was powerful to me, and I hope will be something that will be a blessing to someone else. I was reading a devotional story today on Facebook, and they were referencing the situation where the Israelites were being delivered from Egypt in slavery and they were moving toward the promised land. That's a story that God uses so many times to speak to me about promises that He's given me. So it caught my attention for that reason. And I'm very familiar with the story. I'm very familiar with this section that they were at. The portion of the story they were at is when the Israelites had Pharaoh had said he'd let them go and they were free, but he changed his mind and started chasing after them. So sometimes it looks like your promise is going to happen and it doesn't go the way you think it's going to go. Doesn't mean it's not going to. But it can look really bad in the meantime. And I've had that happen in my life in so many ways, so many times. But in their situation, it didn't just seem like it couldn't happen. It, in the physical, natural, literally could not happen because they come up against the Red Sea. And the Red Sea was before them, and Pharaoh's army was behind them, and they were trapped and would surely be killed. And in their mind, had no way they could proceed to the promise. So, what I was reading, I read the wrong way, and I had to go back and look again. But what I read in my mind and how I saw it with my messed up vision is I read that it said God brought his people to an impossible place as they saw Pharaoh's army approaching. Okay, well, yeah, it looked impossible in the natural, but that's not actually what the person had written. It said God had brought his people to an impassable place as they saw Pharaoh's army approaching. There's a big difference between impassable and impossible. Um, with God, all things are possible, one way or the other. But it made me think, how many times do I look at a situation the same way I looked at this text? I see impossible when it really isn't impossible. It may just be another challenge. So that really blessed me, and it made me think that sometimes we just need to change our perspective to be able to see God's glory. And when you look at what happened in the end, it was impossible in the natural. It was impassable. They could not pass. They could not cross. They could not go forward or get past the situation to the challenge to get to their promise. But with God, they did. So God did the impossible to help them get through what was impassable. And he did it in a way that we still talk about to this day, in a huge way. The movies have been made showing how it was done. It's a miracle, a huge, big, gorgeous miracle that happened. So sometimes when it looks like your situation is something you can't get through or get over, look for God to do something huge, for his glory to be shown. Just like with Lazarus, they said, why did you let him die? You could have come sooner. You could have healed him. But he didn't want to heal him. He wanted to resurrect him. And he said, so that the glory of the Lord might be shown. Or if he didn't say it there, I know he said it in the case of the guy that was blind, and they said, why was he blind? Whose fault is it? And he said it was no one's fault. He was born blind so that God's glory could be shown and how he healed him.